alongside on that front row. Sean Brown will start third. This is the result of race 1 as well, by the way, with Paul Neville alongside him. Then Chris Baker and Mike Thurley with Gary Johnson and Malcolm Wise, who I said would move forward in race 1, and he did, finishing in 8th position. That's where he will start race number 2. Row 5 for Colin Claxton and Andy Pipe. They had a good battle in race 1. Jason Stone and Piers Warwick will be on row 6 with Michael McKenzie and John Ward on the 7th row of the grid together. James Newins and Will Arif will share row 8. Row 9 then for Dave Barrett and Todd Garner, with Alex Howe, or AJ Howe, in the Focus Estate, hopefully starting on row number 10, but he was one of quite a lot of retirements, unfortunately, in the race earlier on. The Focus Estate, whilst running in a podium position, stopped down at Brundle and Nelson. James Allen also had dramas. He was running 3rd overall. 3rd actually seemed to be the position not to be in race 1. The Focus RS hopefully will start from 20th, ahead of Stephen Marsh and Gary Littlewood. Ollie Clark is next. He was off at Riches on the opening lap earlier on. Leroy Brown will start his Fiesta ST150 alongside him. Then Wayne Crabtree in the Sierra Cosworth, Martin Reynolds in the Zaxby Mark II Escort, and Tyler England's Fiesta at the back of the grid. Hopefully we'll see whether we get the full quota of 27 cars out there. We did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 non-finishers in race 1. I'm sure at least a couple of them might not be able to make it out there. Dave Barrett probably at the top of that list after his accident earlier on. And we also do not have Lloyd Jameson, our race 1 winner, so only Piers Grange on the front row of the grid. I wonder what that's all about.
That's interesting. Also, is that something patched up on the front end of Paul Neville? I thought it was a glinting of the sort of the incoming sun, but looks like some kind of thing patched up on the right front of Paul Neville's car. I didn't think he had some damage when he came in, but oh no, it's not. It's just it's the angle of the sun that's showing how shiny it is. Just had a bit of info from Rob Lewis. AJ Howe had a wheel bearing issue that put him out, but they've gone ahead and replaced that, so that car should be on the grid and all good to go from where it is on the grid. Which should be, was it's 15th on the grid, so we'll see what he can do to get that through the order. It gives him another good chance if he can pick his way through to get himself a possible overall podium, if he can get a good start and keep it clean from the first couple of rows.
Yes, Gary Littlewood, by the way, has just arrived at the end of pit lane. Gary, who was, again, an early retirement in race 1, but they've got that car sorted. He'll be either starting from the pit lane, or they might let him tag along on the back of the warm-up lap, potentially. Lap gets underway now, led by the Hyundai safety car, because of course this is a rolling start for Modified Ford, the only series today that feature rolling starts. This big grid of blue ovals makes its way off the line. We are definitely missing a few at the back, because actually the last car on the grid is James Allen, so Stephen Marsh, Ollie Clark and Leroy Brown, or potentially in fact, no, sorry, not the last car is James Allen. There's another one behind, isn't there? That is
Stephen Marsh.
Stephen Marsh, yeah. So we're missing Ollie Clark and Leroy Brown, and as we know, Gary Littlewood in the pit lane. I didn't see Dave Barrett go through either, so I don't think he's out, is he?
We're also missing as well, I think, because Rob did tell me in some information, there's no Martin Reynolds, Wayne Crabtree or Tyler England, because they pulled out, I think, after qualifying, so we didn't have them in race 1 either, which is a shame, because Wayne Crabtree has, amongst the Fords that he has a Sierra Cosworth, an Escort Mark 1, and my favourite car I've ever seen in this series before, and it even appeared in the very first time that Modified Ford Series raced with BRSCC back in 2021 in Donington Park. It was a Subaru engine Ford RS200. Which looked like it was more like a car suited for Pikes Peak rather than a circuit thing. And I think the only reason why it did win a race, but it didn't win both races that weekend, because I think, if I'm right, the gear stick, I think, came off with something came off on the gear stick, and it couldn't continue. But it was in the second race, managed to pick up a victory, because there was an issue with another car. I think possibly Dave Cockell's Escort Cosworth had a problem as well. So, if he's watching or listening and he's just been waving to Rob Lewis, if we can see him, hello darling, we can see you from the opposite race, if you can hear us on that one. I'm sure if he hears that on the comments in that 20 seconds time, he will hear that, so, and give us a laugh. But Rob Lewis, who is another regular on the BRSCC comms team for live streams and at circuits, and I think he's with me in a few weeks' time at Donington Park for the next live stream that we have, which is a few weeks' time. So with me and him on comms for that one, and see how that one plays out. Well, we'll see, amongst other things, we'll see once again the Production Cup and also a couple of series that are racing too, as the field now makes its way in what should hopefully be again lovely 2x2 formation, as they were for race number 1. They've had one or two wayward starts before in the past. I think before it was like the front half of the field beautifully put together, the second half of the field was incredibly spread out, and it was, they learned their lesson for race 2 and they're really neatly stacked up 2x2. They're starting to do so again. I think they only get one formation that rather than two here, so starting to kind of pack up as they should do, and we'll see them all grouping up as they will. So Piers Grange on his own on the front row of the grid, but it's going to be escorts aplenty towards the front. There's a couple of holes as well, because also missing, I think, Mike Thurley's car, unless he's not in there somewhere. But a couple of holes in the field, but we're ready to go. Modified 4 racing once again for race number 2.
Indeed so. So the safety car pulls into the... no, we are getting a second green flag lap, so we did last time, didn't we, for whatever reason.
And I think that caught out some of the field. They thought, oh, we're going racing. No, we're not. So second green flag now. So whether it's the length of the circuit or...
Well, last time it's because a car had stopped on the first green flag lap, but, well, I thought that was the reason, but maybe it is standard procedure then to have to. A note shrug of the shoulders from Rob Lewis, and if Rob Lewis doesn't know what's going on, then clearly that wasn't in the plan. So I think maybe there's another car then that's stopped somewhere around the circuit. That needs the attention of the marshals, and so slight delay to the start. But again, it's not going to eat into the 15 minutes. That time hasn't started ticking down just yet. You mentioned that we were missing Mike Thurley. I wonder whether maybe it's his car that's stopped somewhere else on circuit.
Well, I think Mike Thurley's car is that Castro car coming through there, so that might well be him. He was a bit out of position, I think, maybe. I'm trying to see if there's anyone that's possibly missing on that grid. I don't think so. We've got Todd Garner, we've got Alex Howes at the back, and then we also have as well, Gary Little came in anyway, Stephen Marsh, and the last car that came through was James Allen, but he's ahead of Stephen Marsh anyway, so we're kind of missing cars from 22nd back to 27, because Gary Littlewood was in the pit lane before that even got underway, if I remember correctly. So we're down to about roughly, 20 left or so, which is still a decent enough number, but just a few cars we were hoping to see out that haven't quite made it. Yeah, Littlewood is still in the pit. He's just been released to the very end of the pit lane. That, I don't think was the plan. I think he was supposed to be waiting for the race to start, and there's possibly been a bit of confusion as to whether the race has started, but it hasn't. The time, as I said, hasn't ticked down yet from 15 minutes, so they're going to leave him there for a moment and release him when the race starts, but he's going to have very cold tyres. He hasn't had the benefit of these 2 laps behind the safety car to warm the tyres up, and it's not going to help his chances on the opening lap. He's lucky he's technically not a lap. He should be a lap down, but lucky he's not, because it's on 2 formation laps rather than just the 1. So race hasn't started, so therefore he can't be a lap down because it hasn't got underway yet. So we have got, looks like essentially, well, not essentially, we have got pretty much, well, Paul Neville will go up alongside Sean Brown, and it should be there. So Chris Baker and Mike Thurley. Gary Johnson, I think, is in the bronze-coloured Escort Mark 1. And then we have Malcolm Wise and his Escort Cosworth, which should be in there as well. I think he certainly is. Then it's Colin Claxon and Andy Pipe, who are having that great battle for the bottom of the top 10. They're both there as well. No, there's no Andy Pipe, is there? So he's not missing. There's the black Mark 1, there was another car's missing. But now they are packing up into 2x2, and whichever order they manage, it should be quite a fine thing. So, again, if you're a Blue Oval fan, strap yourselves in. 15 minutes of action coming up from Modified Fords. One of the best looking grids out there, and certainly one of the best sounding. It's about to be unleashed in about a few seconds' time. Yes, a lot of the more modern machinery on the grid is at the back, because ironically they were the cars that broke down. Some of the older cars in the field ran absolutely trouble-free, and they will make up the bulk of the front of the grid. It's a very congested start, but we do go racing them, and Piers Grange leads the field down towards Rich's corner for the first time. The majority of the battling will be behind. I think we'll have a lock-up there, big lock-up in fact, from 36 car of Gary Johnson, who just about gathered that together. Malcolm Wise there in the yellow and white car tries to go to his outside, and keep an eye towards some of the focuses at the back of the grid. They should all move forward. Oh, Malcolm Wise with a huge lose, but actually saved the situation really. He very nearly ran into the back of the car ahead, just about avoided absolute calamity, but he will have to rejoin at the back of the field. And also, Paul Neville had a bit of a sideways moment there, but he's held on to 3rd position. It's also game on for 4th behind, because Mike Thurley's under pressure from, who's that? From Chris Baker, who's recovered as well, and his Escort. So Escorts literally make up the first, six positions at the front, because you've got the Mark II versus Mark 1, then the RS 2000 behind in 3rd position of Paul Neville, then you have the Mark 1 Zach Speed of Mike Thurley, then, I don't know what Mark that is, 3, 4, 5, whatever it could be for Escorts. Chris Baker's car, the 80s shape one in the mix as well. And then you have behind them Gary Johnson, who's held on into 6th position. So as they come out through Coram for the first time, Piers Grange, we anticipate he would. It has the lead now, with Paul Neville holding on to a nice healthy 3rd place. As they turn in through Murray's for the first time, relatively drama-free, apart from Malcolm Wise's spin. But apart from that, everyone has got through turn 1 pretty cleanly. And now you can see James Allen, from what was that the back of the grid? That was 20th on the grid. He's already packed his way through into the top 5. Absolutely flying is James Allen. He's going to be at the line in 3rd place.
Yes, now he and Piers Grange were very evenly matched in that first race before James unfortunately retired to the pit lane. So if you can ever get to Piers Grange, I think we could have a really good battle on our hands. That unfortunately is Malcolm Wise's race over. Had that big spin down at the Wilson hairpin. I suspected that wasn't driver error. I think there must have been an issue with the car, and he has pulled over down at the end of the Bentley straight. Hopefully that won't need a safety car to get it moved out of the way. Grange leads by 5.6 seconds then at the end of the opening lap. Sean Brown second. There is Paul Neville third, and James Allen then fourth at the end of lap number 1. There's the Malcolm Wise car. I don't really see how they can leave that there, if I'm honest, because the car is right in the firing line, isn't it, if someone gets it wrong in the braking zone?
I fear the word safety car might be able to be deployed in a second, and keep an eye out on the window to see when those lights go up. It's a case of more when rather than if the lights go on. There will be yellow flags down there because unfortunately Escort Cosworth has pulled up and not had an issue. There are double wave yellows down there, and typically double wave yellows tend to be followed by a safety car, so we'll keep an eye. I'm anticipating we are going to go up the bar you see on the top left of the screen is going to go, I'm certain, from green to yellow until we see what the clerk of the course wants to do. And still the Escort Cosworth doesn't move, still with Malcolm Wise in it.
There is a marshal behind it, but I think we'll need more than a marshal to move it. There we go, second one arrives on the scene. They're going to try and push it out of the way, but this is where the marshals, I would say, earn their money. Of course, they're all volunteers, but it's where they certainly earn our respect, because you wouldn't catch me going out next to a live racetrack at that particular part of the track to go and shove a Escort Cosworth. Goodness knows how far they need to shove it to get it out of harm's way. Yes, it's covered under yellow flags, but that is extremely brave, and it's why they absolutely deserve our thanks and our respect, because not only are they putting themselves in danger to try and get the car out of the way, they're doing so in the hope that we don't have to interrupt the race. We can go safety car free, and look at that. That's exactly what they've done. Top job there from the marshals to get that car out of the way, and no need for a race stoppage.
I always maintain British marshals are the best in the world, full stop, and no one will move me. Unless someone can prove to me there are better trained marshals, and all marshals are very well trained anyway, but I do think British ones are the best in the world. They get regular training, at least annually, every year, to make sure they are sharp and as up to speed as they can be, and they're always encouraging new people to come through and to take up those ranks, because it's a great way to even just get started in the sport or make connections, even if it's just being, being a marshal and just getting yourself involved, because it's a great way to be involved in a race meeting, voluntarily, yes, but be up close and be genuinely if not possibly, arguably, the most vital part of a race meeting. So if you think wondering how do I get into motorsport, genuinely, some people are the best people in motorsport and most powerful people in motorsport have started genuinely being a marshal as a starting point, so it can get you further than you think.
Absolutely, and certainly if you want to go on to work in race control or race admin, running a championship perhaps at some point in the future, it really does help to have spent some time as a marshal, because you start to learn the mechanics of how the sport actually works and how events are actually run. It's a great idea. You can do marshal taster days as well still, and that's a good way of sort of dipping your toe in the water to see if it's for you. This is the battle for second place then. James Allen has now caught Sean Brown and is looking to try and move up the inside into the Brundle and Nelson complex. He's going to get past the Mark 1 Escort pretty trouble-free. The problem is, though, that he's going to be about 14 seconds or so adrift of the race leader Piers Grange, and I'm not convinced he's going to have a massive pace advantage over the race leader. It's a shame that Lloyd Jameson didn't take the start. I would have loved to have seen a resumption of that battle between he and Piers Grange that we had in race 1, but I suspect unless James Allen can really find some previously undiscovered speed, I don't think he's going to be able to give much of a challenge to Piers Grange. You never know, though.
Considering, well, to kind of put that argument to bed, Piers Grange has put to the 1:17.9, so he's got the gap even further out. The last lap was a personal best before this one for James Allen. He comes across and does a 1:20.567, but of course that's been with the caveat of getting past cars in front of him. Now he has a Leclerc Air. We're just over half the race to go with 9.25 minutes left. Arguably now he's got his best chance to kind of start chasing after him, and I think Sean Brown, who we talked about earlier on, just loves being out there and keeping this car in the straight and narrow and performing well. I think he accepts he hasn't got exactly the same pace as Piers Grange or James Allen, but I think he's one of those drivers politely that just doesn't care. He loves the car, he loves the series, he loves being out of it and doing a good job and just enjoying himself out there in that kind of car, which is quite fun. I'm also seeing Top Garner's making good progress. He started, when was he? Back in 18th. He's now just passed Paul Neville for 4th, so he's now made some great progress. Paul's still the class leader, and Todd Garner 3rd in Class A. And that car, remember, had that little drama where he went to hit the brakes for Richie's corner. The car practically came to a standstill almost, which is really odd, and that caught off guard one of the Ford Focus, the Fiestas that was behind, that was in a mix. Alex Howe's also making quite good progress. AJ now with that fixed rear wheel bearing, which apparently, according to Rob Lewis, is what also put Lloyd Jameson out. He had a rear bearing issue that put him out of. I think he did mention there was some kind of issue at the end of race 1, but now AJ managed to fix his. Lloyd didn't, sadly, so unfortunately he wasn't able to rejoin with that same problem that AJ did, but they managed to do it for his. So James now in clear air. We'll see what his lap time is. Grange's done a 118.412. And it's a 121.240. So at the moment, pace-wise, as fast as Alan is into second place, nowhere near the pace that Grange has got out in front.
No, doesn't look that way. So second place and less dramas before the race leader here, I think, for James Allen. And second in class as well, of course. He and Piers Grange both in the same class, Class A. They round the Wilson hairpin, head out onto the Bentley Straight. Sean Brown there in third. Todd Garner doing his best now to try and chase after him and make it an all Class A top 3. Paul Neville and AJ Howe, as you said, they're battling for class on as well. Is AJ catching Neville? Yes, to the tune of 1.3 seconds on the previous lap, so that might be the next battle to watch. The Focus Estate. Makes sense that it was a wheel bearing issue then on that car, because we saw the little bit of smoke emanating from the left rear corner just before the car pulled over to the side of the road. So I thought at the time it was just bodywork rubbing on the tyre. It probably was, but it's because the wheel bearing had broken, and that's what took him out of the race. James Allen then through Coram. Flames spitting there from the side exhaust on the Focus RS, a brilliant looking car, and he's done a lot of work on this car over the years. I don't know whether it's the same car he used to race in this series. He used to have a sort of black and pink liveried Focus RS. I suspect it's just been rewrapped, but a nice livery on the car. It's going well. He's not, as I said, going to catch Piers Grange. In fact, he might have the attentions of Todd Garner before the end of the race, because Garner's just got ahead of Sean Brown for third, and on the last lap was a second quicker than James Allen.
So that's now Focus second and third. I don't know if you're thinking of Rory Jose, who had a bright pink Focus, I think.
Possibly. Because
that car has had some, it was more kind of black and white, I remember, but it has had a similar sort of spec on it. So you're right, he's been building it over the last few years. It's very sort of high-speed kind of touring car-esque, that car, with a front splitter and rear wing. But there has also been Rory Jose that has had a very, very fast turbocharged pink Focus. I don't think it's been an RS, but he's been very quick on that sense. So that car moving forward. But you're right, Todd Garner, who's redeeming himself from the mishap earlier on in race 1, where he had that little brake issue. He's continuing on. There's Gary Littlewood's Fiesta that's got out of the pit lane eventually. And we'll see. I think you're absolutely right. The Todd Garner's car is not that far away, putting in decent enough pace to cause some trouble here.
Yes, looks as though he's definitely going to catch. So I don't know whether James Allen actually is running at full speed here, or maybe there's a niggly little issue, or he's just concerned about the issue coming back from race 1. Now he knows that he's not going to catch Piers Grange. Maybe he's just decided he's going to try and pace himself, but with still 5 and a bit minutes to go, he could end up losing second place, and he wouldn't want to do that. So interesting battle developing there. AJ Howe continuing to catch Paul Neville. Yes, he is. In fact, here they come absolutely together. So Neville, the white and blue car, the Focus Estate behind, is second place in class. Might only be 5th place overall, but it is for a class victory. And for AJ Howe, it will be a brilliant victory from the back of the grid after the retirement earlier on today. Late on the brakes into the Wilson hairpin, the enormous Focus Estate. Oh, he's going to go straight through, because Neville's got it all wrong through the Wilson hairpin. He was too deep, clambered the curb, and I think AJ Howe should be able to get through, although Neville is still hanging around on his left-hand side. Nothing wrong with the straight line performance of the Escort. In fact, he drags back ahead.
You'd have thought, given though it's a Focus, that the Estate would be a little more aerodynamic, given it has got quite a bit of aero efficiency in terms of its body shape. But the older Escort RS2000 certainly proving to have plenty of pace. And also, we should mention, this is for the Class B Plus lead as well, which is between the two cars are in the same class. So pushing forwards, and it looks as though his straight line speed is good. Maybe with that enhanced aero, AJ might have a look, and he thought about going up the inside into Coram corner, but he's still thinking about it. He's doing it now, and got better cornering and performance. Up the inside he goes into Coram, gets himself in front for Murray's. The question's got to be now, does he still have the straight line speed to keep ahead of him before they get towards Ritchie's?
No.
Simple as that. Right, okay. Easy answers, moving on.
Back through goes Paul Neville. This is a proper cat and mouse race, isn't it? We get this all the time in modified Fords. We saw it in race 1, didn't we, between Piers Grange and Lloyd Jameson. So one car quicker in a straight line, one better through the corners. Although on that occasion, the car with the extra straight line performance seemed to have an edge. Paul Neville, though, I think is struggling with a handling issue and opens the door again for AJ Howe, who slips back through out of Rich's corner. Meanwhile, James Allen was behind Todd Garner at the start of the lap. I think that's what you just spotted on the timing screen. They were side by side by the looks of it across the line, but James Allen since then has found a way back through.
Yeah, a little more aero on that car, so whether it's better in the corners, I'm not 100%, but he's got through. But now Todd's dropping back a little bit, which is very odd indeed, because as you say, you're absolutely right, he was in front, putting a lap on the 777, which is ex-Formula Ford long-term stalwart with Will Arif in his Fiesta ST150, and Garner's trying to keep going with James, but unless he's decided to either wake up because he has competition, or decided that Garner's got a touch with developing problem. I'm not 100%, but that car is interesting. He was in front by a tenth, as you say, and then I look back at the timing screen, and Alan's back in front of the Jam Sport Focus, so answer on a postcard, I think. Yeah,
well, Alan on the previous lap did do a personal best lap, even though he was losing the position at the time. He's just improved upon that personal best again, so I just had the feeling that he was driving within himself, James Allen, and then I think you're right, maybe now Todd Garner had caught him. It was the wake-up call that he needed. We'll see whether Todd can close back in again on the similar Focus, slightly less highly modified Focus ahead of him. Moving up past James Newing there in the number 47 Escort. Definitely looks like Garner is better in a straight line. They look at the way that he closes in here on James Allen, but then has to brake earlier as a result. Allen with the headlights flashing. Don't think he's doing that manually. I think there might be a little electronics glitch somewhere. Hopefully not the sign of a bigger problem. Certainly not slowing him down at the moment, but he's not having things all his own way here.
Unless that's a tactic to use for the slow lap traffic, because there is some slower cars in front of him. He's going to put a lap on the Mackenzie number 92 Fiesta ST150 through Coram again, and lap time wise, Granger started the penultimate lap. They're going to get the lap he's going on. They're going to have 2 more laps here, and again's got enough going forwards. Hear that 5-cylinder bellowing on that Mark II Focus. It's quite a nice sounding car, and so too Garner's car will have a similar engine too. So 2 cars sound very, yeah, both of them sounding very Audi Quattro-esque, shall we say, in terms of the 5-cylinder engine. In towards Rich's they go. And again, Alan with some bit more grip in terms of the aero. It's slightly more through the apex of the corner, but something tells me that Todd Garner's car, as you say, has got a little more poke in a straight line compared to the aero grip that Alan has. So again, it is that back and forth that we had compared to the battle we had between briefly Jameson and Grange out in front in race 1.
Yeah, even though the 2 cars are visually a lot more similar, there are still differences definitely in performance. I think Garner's a bit closer this time. He's going to go to the inside. Look for the brake lights though. They illuminate sooner on the green and white Focus. Did he complete the pass? No, he didn't, because he was earlier on the brakes. So there could be differences in the brake systems that they're using on the cars, different suspension maybe, the extra aero on the James Allen car, that will help it slow down as well. But Todd Garner's car definitely in the speed traps would be winning the battle. Just can't quite get in front into the braking zone. Traffic might help him though. This is slowing Allen down through the part of the circuit where he would normally be quicker. They nip to the inside there of the much more basic in appearance Ford Focus of John Ward, and accelerate onto the start-finish straight for the beginning of the final lap. Here's Grange is already off and around Wilson and onto the back straight by now. Garner pulls alongside again to the outside, gets his nose ahead. James Allen having none of it. The car squirming under braking, and I think he just about held on.
Yeah, that was Garner, his best attack yet, even though he has been in front about at least once in this race. But Allen chose to hold the inside line and push forwards. The battle still going back and forth also between Paul Neville and Alex Howe. That's for the class lead. Although I think either Paul Neville's had a timing issue, but I'm certain Paul Neville's car was ahead of Alex Howe.
No, that's Sean Brown. AJ Howe's caught Sean Brown for 4th. He's actually put 9 seconds between himself and Paul Neville over the last few laps. So
4th place could still be on for him.
Very much so from the back of the grid. Piers Grange, though, from the front of the grid, has dominated. I'm sure there's a part of him would have quite liked it, actually, if Lloyd Jameson and James Allen had started at the front again in this race, but it didn't quite happen, and Piers Grange, in the end, has had it pretty much unchallenged. He will come to the line, the checkered flag waves, and Piers Grange claims a double victory in the modified Ford Series, echoing the results from James Allen at Old Park a few weeks ago when he did the double. James is going to come home, it would seem, in 2nd place, although we'll just put a little pin in that until they actually get to the line. We know that James and Todd Garner have been trading that position a few times over recent laps. Here they come. James Allen's weaving. He must be celebrating because he's shaken off Todd Garner on the last lap. Quite a big gap actually at the end. And it is Allen second from Garner third. And the last question mark we have is who's going to finish fourth? Can AJ Howe? He was already ahead actually of Sean Brown. Yeah, we did spot that in the insert. So Alex Howe, barring any dramas, should come home fourth. Is this the estate? I think it is. There it goes. Blasts across the line. And some way ahead in the end of Sean Brown, who still gets a class win. Piers Grange, overall winner, is also a class winner, of course, in Class A. Go through the full list of class winners when we get the full results in a moment or two. Good race though from the modified Fords, and looking forward to having them back on the bill again at some point in the hopefully near future. Did I say they were out at Silverstone next? No, Donington on the 6th and 7th of June, the event that Scott was referring to earlier on. So Piers Grange, double race winner, and also double winner in Class A ahead of James Allen and Todd Garner in a brilliant battle there for second place. AJ Howe comes from the back of the grid to win Class B Plus in the Focus Estate. Sean Brown, who we got past there on the final lap, is still a winner in Class B. Paul Neville was 6th overall ahead of Stephen Marsh, then Mike Thurley, Chris Baker and Gary Johnson to complete the top 10. Piers Warwick gets the victory in Super A ahead of Colin Claxton and John Ward, with Michael McKenzie in 14th position. 15th place then for James Newins, 16th place for Will Arif, and the only Class C car in the end to take the start, Gary Littlewood, came home 17th and last. So a shame that we lost